Kirk Frost never saw it coming. 1 minute, he was weaving through the crowd, and the next, chaos erupted. Fans screamed, cameras flashed, and suddenly, a finger lunged at him, throwing him off balance. The energy in the air shifted from excitement to panic. Security rushed in, but it was already too late. The damage had been done. What happened in those few seconds left everyone in shock. Was this a random attack, or was there something deeper behind it? Why did it happen at that moment, just as rumors about Kirk's exit from Love and hip-hop were circulating? The footage now spreading online is causing a frenzy. Some claim it was a fan seeking revenge, while others suspect it was a planned act of retaliation connected to behind-the-scenes drama. But what's the real story? Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will change everything. Kirk Frost was no stranger to drama. It had been a part of his career from the start. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened that night. It was supposed to be just another public appearance, a regular night out. Since the rumors about his departure from Love and hip-hop had started, he'd been keeping a low profile. The tabloids were on fire, fans were talking, and everyone was eager to know the truth. But Kirk had stayed silent, letting the rumors swirl. Maybe that was his mistake. Maybe by staying quiet, he only fueled the fire. What happened next was something he had never experienced before. The event was packed with industry insiders, influencers, and die-hard Love and hip-hop fans. Kirk moved through the venue, staying cool, as he always did. His name still carried weight, and despite the controversies, he had his loyal supporters. But there was a tension in the air, a feeling that something wasn't right. Earlier that day, Rashida had warned him to be careful. "People are upset, Kirk," she had said. "Your whole situation with the VH1 show got them feeling some type of way." He had brushed it off, thinking she was just being overly dramatic. But looking back, maybe he should have listened. The first sign of trouble came when Kirk noticed a group of fans watching him intently. At first, he thought little of it. He was used to people staring, whispering, and pointing. It was part of the territory. But these fans were different. They weren't just admiring him. They looked upset, even angry. One man in his late 20s stood out. His eyes held a look Kirk didn't like something was brewing. That's when Kirk's phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from an unknown number. "You think you can just walk away from this?" Kirk frowned and scanned the crowd, trying to identify who might have sent it. His gut told him this wasn't just some random troll. It was real. His heart raced, but he pushed the feeling aside. This was a public event, a safe space. Nothing could happen here, right? But then, it happened. One moment, Kirk was greeting someone, shaking hands, playing the part of the unbothered celebrity. And the next, everything changed. Reality star Kirk barely had time to react before chaos erupted. A man from the crowd had forced his way past security, breaking through the barrier with no warning. There were no threats, no shouting, just a sudden violent movement. An arm swung, a fist connected, and pain exploded across Kirk's face. The impact sent him staggering backward as shocked guests gasped. Screams filled the air, security rushed in, but the attacker wasn't finished. He lunged at Kirk again, trying to grab him, yelling something that was lost in the commotion. Cameras flashed, phones were raised, capturing every second. Within minutes, the footage would be everywhere. Before Kirk could fully grasp what had happened, security tackled the man, pinning him to the ground. He fought back, his voice finally cutting through the noise. "You ruined everything," he yelled. "You lied." His words sent a chill through the stunned crowd. This wasn't just some random act of aggression. This was personal. Blood trickled from the corner of Kirk's mouth as his mind raced. Who was this guy? What did he mean by ruined everything? Before he could find any answers, the police arrived, pushing through the crowd. The attacker kept screaming as they restrained him. "Tell the truth, Kirk. You know what he did." Rashida was by Kirk's side in an instant, worry written all over her face. "Kirk, are you okay?" she asked, urgency in her voice. But he barely heard her. His heart was still hammering, ears ringing. He wiped the blood from his lip and winced. It had all happened so fast. Too fast. Then came the realization. Cameras had caught everything. Social media was already exploding with speculation. This wasn't just an attack. This was a message. But from who? And why now? Police questioned witnesses while the attacker was dragged toward a squad car, still shouting, his voice growing more desperate. "You can't hide forever." Kirk met Rashida's eyes. They both knew this wasn't over. If anything, this was just the beginning. Later that night, Kirk sat in his car, staring at his phone. The footage had gone viral. Twitter, Instagram, gossip sites. Millions of views already. But what unsettled him wasn't the videos. It was the DMs. Dozens of messages from anonymous accounts. "This is just the beginning. You think we forgot? Watch your back." A chill ran down his spine. He had been in this industry long enough to tell the difference between internet noise and a real threat. And this felt real. Then a new message popped up. This one wasn't from a burner account. It was from someone Kirk hadn't spoken to in years. "They're coming for you. You need to leave town now." Kirk's grip tightened around his phone. His pulse pounded. This wasn't just some random warning. It was from someone who knew. Someone who had been close enough to the situation to send a warning. But about what? Kirk had plenty of enemies in the industry, no doubt. But this situation felt different. It wasn't just the typical politics or a failed business deal gone. Sour. This was personal. Rashida's voice pulled him back to reality. She was gripping the steering wheel, her gaze fixed on him, a mix of anger and concern in her eyes. "Kirk, we need to talk. Now." She had been silent since the attack, but he could sense she was holding something back, something significant. He sighed, locking his phone, and glanced at her. "Go ahead," he muttered, rubbing his jaw where the punch had landed. "Who was that man?" she demanded. "He knew you, Kirk. He wasn't just some crazy fan. What the hell is going on?" Kirk exhaled, staring out the window. He wanted to downplay it, to tell her it was just some random event, but he knew better. And so did Rashida. She had been by his side long enough to see through the nonsense. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice tense. "But I've got a bad feeling about this." Rashida scoffed, shaking her head. "A bad feeling? Kirk, you just got attacked in front of the whole world. This isn't a bad feeling. It's serious. And now you're getting messages telling you to leave town? Who sent that?" Kirk hesitated before handing her his phone, showing her the message. The second Rashida saw the name, her eyes widened. "Wait, you're still in contact with him?" Kirk shook his head. "No, I haven't talked to him in years. This came out of nowhere." Rashida took a sharp breath and gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Kirk, you need to start talking because I swear, I don't like where this is headed." Kirk leaned back in his seat, rubbing his hands over his face. He wasn't sure where to begin, but one thing was clear. This wasn't over. The next morning, Kirk woke up to complete chaos. His phone had been buzzing nonstop through the night, and now the headlines were everywhere. Kirk Frost attacked by crazy fan. Ex-love and hip-hop star targeted in shocking assault. Is this the real reason Kirk Frost was fired? His stomach churned as he scrolled through the articles. Everyone was speculating about what had happened, but no one had any solid answers. The police had kept quiet about the attacker's identity, and no official statements had been made. But that didn't stop the internet from running wild with theories. Some people said it was a revenge plot from someone Kirk had wronged in the past. while others claimed it was a publicity stunt to keep his name in the headlines amid rumors of his firing. Then, there were the darker theories, the ones that made his skin crawl. Whispers started circulating that Kirk was involved in something far deeper than just a fan losing control. Some said the attack was a warning. Kirk's breath caught in his throat as he read the comments. How were people already piecing things together? How were they getting so close to the truth? Before he could dwell on it too long, his phone rang. An unknown number flashed on the screen, and his heart skipped a beat. He almost didn't answer, but something told him he had to. Hello? His voice was hoarse, a tense silence hanging in the air, before a deep, steady voice came through the line. Low, calm, almost unnervingly calm. You should have listened. Kirk's breath caught. Who is this? The voice ignored his question, continuing instead. You think you can just walk away, that there won't be any consequences. A chill ran down Kirk's spine. I don't know what you're talking about. There was a slow, menacing chuckle on the other end. Oh, you will? Soon enough. Then the call abruptly ended. Kirk stared at his phone, his hands trembling. This was worse than he had imagined. This wasn't some irate fan. This was something far more significant. Something from his past that was finally catching up with him. And the worst part? He had no idea who was behind it all. Later that afternoon, Kirk and Rashida were called into the police station. They weren't there as suspects, but as victims. The police wanted to know if Kirk recognized the man who had attacked him, if he had any enemies, and if he'd received any threats. Kirk kept his answers vague. He wasn't ready to reveal everything, not yet. But the way the officers looked at him made him uneasy. They knew more than they were letting on. Mr. Frost, one of the detectives said, flipping through a folder of documents. The name of your attacker is Jason Carter. Does that ring a bell? Kirk's blood ran cold. Jason Carter. He hadn't heard that name in years. Rashida shot him a quick, questioning look. Kirk, she whispered, sensing his reaction. But Kirk couldn't speak. His mind was already racing, connecting the dots.